Okay, so I mentioned in one of the previous videos that I'll be showing how to use the Stardrifter Ultimate Dungeon Terrain. So the Stardrifter UDT or SUDT, that's how I refer to it. Um, I wanted to show that. I also wanted to show how to conduct some combat in Stardrifter, just to illustrate the game system. So why not do both, right? Why not do both right now? And while we're at it, I showed this dice tower that I made a while ago. Well, after that, I created this. Now, this is a, well, these, first off, they fit together, all right? These work together. You can do the dice tower there, and then if you want to, you can flip up these things to count rounds or basically to count anything you want to. So those work together, but when they're separated, and they, again, they do fit together, so that makes it easier to store them, right? But when they're separated, I put the dice here. I call this my dice corral. This is the dice tower. This is the dice corral. These will be off camera. You won't be able to see them very well, but in fact, I may as well move them all the way. Otherwise, they'll be distracting. But they work pretty well. They work pretty well. I like the dice corral. Keeps my dice easy to reach. I can grab anything, but they don't go flying all over the place. They're always in one spot, and I can return them right there. Okay, so the way I have done some things, I made a list of different types of adventures that the characters can have, and when I'm doing testing, and it was a random roll, right? It was a bunch of different types of things. So I rolled one and came up with assassination, right? So I've illustrated everything here that you might need to, or that I would need to consult. So assassination is the scenario that we'll be setting up, and we'll be using the SUDT to do that. All right. Now, for this system that I put together for this, it's on 2 pages here in the next. I had to pre-roll 1, 5, 6, and 7, and those are on the other side. All right. But we'll just run through these just so you know what I was doing. Okay. The first one, PCs, that is player characters, must, this is a percent dice, 0, 1 to 50, either kill or 51 to 00, save a particular NPC. That's the target. And that NPC would be an average NPC, and I'll describe what that is when I get to the NPCs. 2, the target is 0, 1 to 50, or target is in 0, 1 to 50, a building. And these are some of the stats having to do with the building. Or 51 to 00, a moving vehicle, which must be ambushed, right? And that's some of the stuff that has to do with that. I haven't rolled this yet. I don't know which of these 2 things we're going to be doing. So we'll leave that for when we need to do it. And 3, the operation takes place in 0, 1 to 35, a city, 36 to 70, out in the country, or 71 to 00, 100 that is, on a small island, so that you're really isolated and can't run away. All right. So we flip over, ignore this mess. That's just a bunch of mistakes. Make tons of them. Okay. 4, the enemies are 0, 1 to 50. They know, or 51 to 00, do not know the PCs are coming, right? So it's possible the player characters could surprise the NPCs or the enemies. But it's also possible that they can't. And, there's just no way to get surprise on them. And it's probably going to be a slog, and a dangerous one at that. All right. 5, the number of enemies. That's equal to 1d4 plus 12. So it's a range from 13 to 16, right? And the types are average. The number appearing of those are 12. So this plus 12, these are all going to be average, your regular guys, right? Competent, number appearing is 1 to 2 depending. 1 to 2 depending on what I roll on the 1d4, right? Superior, number appearing 1 depending on what I roll here. And masterful, number appearing 1 depending on what I roll there, all right? And finally, no, not finally, we're up to 6 enemy stats. And these are the different kinds of stats for the different kinds of NPCs. Now, in Stardrifter, NPCs can be rolled up just like player characters, but they don't have to be, considering that most NPCs are not permanent fixtures in the game. They come, they go. You walk into a bar, there's a bartender. The bartender, you don't necessarily need any stats for him, but if you do need some, you don't need to roll up a full character just for the bartender. Even if you're going to have a bar fight and he has to mix in with it, you know, and try to break things up or whatever it happens to be, right? There are some standard types in Stardrifter that you can just pull and use, right? So the types are average, competent, superior, and masterful, okay? And they go up in relative power and quality, right? So, you know, hit points and saves, skills, et cetera, they just get better and better as you go up, okay? Now, 7. This is the final section here. The target, that is the person that we're either going to kill or try to kill or save or try to save. That target, if it's a victim, this person has no weapon, no armor, and is restrained. They can't go anywhere, okay? If they are the target, that is to say we're trying to kill them, they will have a rifle, they'll have a flak vest, and they will wear a chest plate. Flak vest and chest plate are types of armor. And as stated before, they're an average NPC. But these things are listed here, even though we have the stats for the average NPC, including the type of armor and weapon damage. This is a special person. Their basic stats, like the HP, the save, the level of skill, are going to be the same as these people. But they're going to be using a rifle instead of a pistol. And they'll be wearing a flak vest and a chest plate instead of just a flak vest. So they're going to be better protected, and they're going to be able to dish out more damage. That's just how it is because of this person. Okay, they're special. All right. Okay, so that is our scenario. But as I say, I pre-rolled 1, 5, 6, and 7. And the reason for that, I just showed you the NPC that who is our target, right? Now, if that person is someone that we have to kill, that person is going to have that weapon and all those that armor and everything. And I needed to pre-roll this along with information about the enemies, how many there are, what types they are, etc. I needed to do that in advance because I had to plot them all out on the combat tracking chart, or CTC, and that's this. And this is basically what we'll be referring to through the rest of the game, okay? Now, the CTC, it looks a little messy and complicated. Part of it is because I'm a messy, complicated sort of guy, but partly because we wanted to cover a lot of NPCs. In a regular game, you know, a real role-playing game, when you're playing with a bunch of people, or, you know, or a small group or something around a table, you're not necessarily going to be fighting all these people. But I rolled, okay? I rolled. Now, these 4 right here, the first 4 are the player characters, and these are their stats, okay? The next is the target, and you'll notice down here the target is wearing armor and has a rifle. That's right. We're trying to kill this guy. Let's assume that this is some kind of crime lord, or maybe a potentate in a small, you know, a small nation state where he's corrupt and everything else. Okay. The rest of these, 1 to 12, are going to be our average NPCs. Remember, we said the first 12 are going to be these average people. All right. These are their hit points, their save, their movement. This is the damage they're doing. They're all carrying pistols, so this is the damage they'll be doing. The pistols all have 20 rounds in them. Reloads are 0. They don't have any reloads. Okay, once they've shot their 20 rounds, that's it. They basically can't fight anymore. Now, again, in a regular game, they might go on. They might pick up something and try to attack. But for the sake of this, they don't. If they run out of bullets, that's it. They're not fighting anymore. They're basically out of the game. Okay. Status is in case there's a status effect that happens to occur, most likely stun. Special, anything special, there's nothing special really about any of the NPCs that I need to keep track of, but there are a few for the player characters. Armor, the types of armor that they're wearing. Now, I know you can't really see this, but these I can read them off, and it represents the kind of armor they might be wearing. Now, all of these guys, the regular NPCs, these are thugs, and they just have a flak vest on. Okay, that's like a type of heavy armor, cloth armor. But then we start getting into the tougher guys, because what I rolled was 1d4 plus 12, right? I rolled a 3, so that's a total of 15, right? And that means we'll have 12 of the average, we'll have 13, 14 of the competent, and 1 of the superior. The superior is the leader of the bad guys. And I have those plotted in right here. Okay, so 13, 14, these guys are a little bit better. They're carrying rifles. That means they're dropping more damage, and they're wearing better armor. They're wearing a flak vest, but they're also wearing a chest plate over it. Okay, these guys are tougher to kill, and they shoot better, and they shoot with rifles, which do more damage. Okay, and finally, we have our leader, and the leader here, he's also using a rifle, which means he does the same damage. Get out of here, kitty. He does the same damage, but he's wearing slightly better armor, but he hits much better than, the previous guys. He's got a 12-8, all right, 12 for the skill roll, and an 8 for what's known as the initiative differential, which we won't really get into, probably. It's important to know in case there's a question about if it really does matter whether or not somebody has gone first or second in a combat or any kind of skill contest. But in this case, in this particular case, we probably won't be running into too much of it. In fact, we could just say that we're not going to do it at all, but we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. So anyway, and then here are all the player characters. There are 4 player characters. Yes, they're tasked with trying to kill this guy. Okay. Now, who is this guy? Well, now we could, as I say, we can say he's a crime lord, or we can say that he's, some kind of tyrant and some, minor state in the Alliance in this future time. Okay. Does it matter where they are in space? Well, let's find out. Let's run through the things that we have to decide. Go. We have to decide what we're going to do with regards to where they are. Okay, so we're going to roll some dice. It looks like it's percent dice right off the bat. Okay, so I have my percent dice here, and I'll drop it in the tower. Okay, we already know we have to kill this person. Okay, the target is in 01 to 50, a building, or 51 to 100, a moving vehicle. Okay. I have 89, which is a moving vehicle. Okay, let's read about that. A moving vehicle which must be ambushed. There are 3 vehicles, with the middle one holding the target. So the target's going to be in the middle car, we'll say. Middle vehicle. Enemies are spread evenly among the cars. So there's going to be, as I say, there are 15 of them. We'll have, I guess, 5 in each, I suppose. Not counting our target. Okay. Player characters have 4d6 rounds to prep before the ambush. Okay. We can count that down on our toggles over here that I showed you for the dice corral that are attached to the dice corral. And that only goes to 10, but we can reset it and keep going if we need to. We'll keep track of how much time they have and what they can reasonably set up in the area that we'll be setting up, and we'll be making it up as we go, and I'll be rolling some random dice as to how everything is going to set up for that. Okay, now the operation takes place in either the city, the country, or a small island. All right. Oh, I didn't do this. PCs have a vehicle or they don't have a vehicle. Let's double check that. Yeah, I didn't check that one. Okay, 4d6 rounds first off. Yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's not do that. 4d6 rounds. They have 5, 10, 15, 19 rounds to prepare. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. Okay. And let's find out if where they are. Now, let's see. We'll roll there. I've got a 95, which is a small island. Imagine that. Okay. A small island, and they're driving around in a vehicle. Well, if they're in a vehicle on a small island, it's not going to be like an armored car. It's going to be something like an open car, right? Like I don't know, like some kind of all-terrain vehicle or even a golf cart or something. This could be, a resort type thing. This could be, not a resort. We'll say it's some kind of crime lord who owns an island and has set it up like it's a resort, and so it's some kind of tropical environment where this guy is hanging out. All right, so that's where we are. What's number 4? Number 4 is enemies. They either know or they don't know that the player characters are coming. Let's find out. I have a 16. They know the player characters are coming. Okay. So, if they know the player characters are coming, but they're driving in some kind of vehicle, a couple of vehicles, and what would they have on this island? I imagine they would have all-terrain vehicles of some sort on this island. Tropical islands on some planet in the future, right? I imagine they're doing that. Why not? So, that makes sense to me. Okay. So now we know we're on an island. There's going to be 3 vehicles. We have to find out if the player characters have one. Didn't roll that. God, how did I skip over that? I even said to myself, I said, you better try that. You better roll those dice. All right. Do they have a vehicle of their own? 76. They do not have a vehicle. Okay. They do not have a vehicle. All right. Well, that makes sense. If they're invading this island, they're not necessarily driving up with something. They don't have some kind of hovering air car. Let's assume they're floating in. They're on parachutes or something like that. And they've come sneaking in, or they think they're sneaking in. But the bad guys know they're there. Why are the bad guys in vehicles if they know people who are trying to kill the bad guy, kill the target? If they know that people are coming, why aren't they hunkering down? Maybe they're on their way. They know. Yeah, let's do it this way. They know the player characters are coming, but they're in vehicles. So the player characters, they land on the island, and they've been moving through the island. They've had encounters before any of this happened. The alarm went off. So the bad guy is running to his bunker or maybe to his vehicle. He's got a spaceship, and he's going to take off from this planet and get away. Okay? He's driving there really fast in his vehicles, him and his crew, and they are working very hard to get to the spaceship before the player characters can get to them. But they know they're here on the island, and that is the scenario we'll be running with. Okay. Now then, as I explained with the SUDT before, but I'll go over it again really quickly. We've got blue on the outside, red on an inner ring, and white in the center. That is 3 zones, okay? 3 zones. We have far, near, and close, okay? Close, any character who's in the close zone can get anywhere in the close zone that they want in a round. They can move around. It doesn't matter. Movement doesn't really matter there, okay? When they move out, and this, again, just to reiterate, this is my own version of the Ultimate Dungeon Terrain, and my rules are slightly different the way I handle some of this stuff, okay? So the different zones represent different scales of distance, okay? So the white is close, right up. You can do melee, combat, fisticuffs, whatever. You're close enough to do it here, all in one run. You can run to the other side and fight with somebody, no problem at all. But when you come out to the red is different. The red is a different scale of distance. Each of these hexes takes 2 rounds to exit, right? So you're here, you go here, then it takes 2 rounds to go here and 2 rounds to go here, okay? It's a different scale. It's bigger than this, okay? So, and like each one of these is equal to 2 of these whole sections. Let's think of it that way, okay? Each one is equal to 2 of these, all right? And as we move further out, these are equal to 4, right? So it took 2 to leave this one to go here. Now it takes 4 to go here and 4 to leave here. And once you're here, you're out, okay? So that's a lot of distance. That's a lot of distance. However, if you have a rifle, you can hit anywhere on the board. If you have a pistol, you can hit from here to here to here, okay? If you're here, right? If you're here, you can hit into here. If you're here, you can hit into here. If you have a pistol, you can hit into the next zone. I shouldn't have said you can hit here. That's with a rifle, you can hit anywhere, including here. If you have a pistol, you can shoot into the next zone. If you have a pistol, that just makes life a little bit easier. Okay. Now, one other consideration that we're not going to be worried about this time around, you'll notice half of these are lighter colored and the other half are darker colored. That's in case you're having a mass skirmish. I could do war game style stuff, or at least skirmish style games, and have one side on, like all of them that are over here are one unit or one force. They're one side of the fight, and the ones over here are the other side of the fight. That may come in handy in certain types of scenarios. In this case, it doesn't. Okay, we're not going to worry about that. But one thing we do want to consider, as I say, this is a close zone. Well, these two can be used as auxiliary close zones. Okay, so as I say, I've gone over all this before, but this is one auxiliary close, and that's one auxiliary close. So these all three can be close zones. But when we're doing close zones with all three, or more, at least more than one, then we do count. We do count the hexes, and we do count, and that's where movement comes in for the characters. Okay, so that's our battlefield, all right? That's our scenario here, all right? So we have a bunch of these bad guys, and or enemies, I should say. For the enemies, we're using these tokens, and they are numbered. I have more here than I'll need, and I'll just place them where I need them. But each one of these has a number, and that number will correspond to a character that's on the CTC or combat tracking chart, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, on up to 15, and that's these pieces here. That's how we're going to set this up, right? That's how we're going to set this up. So we've got that. And for the player characters, I've got tokens. Okay, these are my character tokens. You've seen these before. That's Selma. That's Crate. That is Malachi. And that's Dremmer. Okay, these are my player characters, or the heroes in this scenario. Assassins in this scenario, I guess you could say. All right, and here is our target, this Walter White looking guy. Okay, here's our target, and he's a crime lord, and we're going to go after him. All right, that is our setup. That is our setup. You've seen the scenario as I've written it out. You know, you've seen this part here as I've written it out, and you've seen the CTC, and it's all filled out and ready to go. These are the tokens. That's the board, and I have a bunch of pieces that I can drop down in order to fill up space. You know, put down things that might stand in for trees or for the side of a road or something like that, or other trash. It depends on what the player characters set up, because they have got 19 rounds to prep. And that is the scenario. So next time we're going to run through this. This is how our setup is. But these combats can go on for a long time, so I think this is good to break right now, and we'll get into it in the next one. Thanks for watching.